My true biggest fear is that my child goes to school and is in a world where everybody's just looking at a screen. There's no interaction. There's no community.
Teens and kids are sucked into social media.
It makes me mad because I see how social media is kind of using her. I know it's not healthy for her.
The nation's top doctor says they need our protection.
This has become the defining public health challenge of our time.
Today we look at the call to put warning labels on social media.
Children today are getting less of everything else that matters. Less sleep, less time with friends, less time outside, less time moving. They're losing childhood.
This is CBS News Bay Area with Elizabeth Cook.
Thank you so much for joining us today. So do you know how much time your kids spend on social media? Do you worry about the impact on their mental health? Well, the Surgeon General is so concerned, he wants a warning label. Today, we'll hear from Bay Area health experts about the risks and what we can do to protect our kids. The mental health of our kids is top of mind for the U.S. Surgeon General. He says children are suffering at the hands of social media, and he's calling on Congress to take action. In fact, a Gallup poll showed, on average, teens spend nearly 5 hours a day on social media. And other research shows adolescents who spend more than 3 hours a day on social media face double the risk of anxiety and depression. Our Kevin Coe has more on why some say all that scrolling can be so harmful.
Kayla Bethia is a Gen Zer who was addicted to social media.
I would lay in bed for about 5 to 8 hours. It's kind of like sleep paralysis. Like, you know, you're like in a dream, but like you can't get out.
Once she realized she was addicted, the teenager says she wasn't sure what to do.
It's scary because like I had no one to guide me because my parents had no idea how to use social media and how it works really. So I feel as though our generation is the first to experience it, and we kind of experienced it by ourselves. So as I got into social media, I started to see the negative impacts of social media, both mentally and I guess physically.
In the last decade, for sure, we're seeing a rise in mental health concerns in young people. And while we may not be able to pull an absolute direct correlation between social media and those mental health concerns, we are seeing some pretty clear indications that excessive social media use can lead to mental health concerns like worsening anxiety and depression.
Dr. Lynette Hsu is a child and adolescent psychiatrist at Kaiser Permanente in Santa Clara.
Exposure to social media and its ways of engaging with you can change things like dopamine pathways and can lead to patterns that look like addiction. So even though we're saying it's not a substance, right? The way our brains interact with it can create addiction behavior-like pattern.
That's why Dr. Hsu supports U.S. Surgeon General Vivek Murthy's new push, calling for warning labels on social media platforms.
I really respect the steps that are being taken to secure the better mental health of our young people.
Murthy says warning labels would state social media is associated with significant mental health harms and not been proved safe to use, similar to warning labels on nicotine products.
Putting the warning labels can perhaps empower parents to be able to engage with their young people, to perhaps even engage as a whole family around how we can make sure that we are managing this resource responsibly.
That's exactly what happened with Kayla when she finally logged off of social media.
It wasn't hard for you taking the break?
Oh, no, it definitely was. But luckily, my parents helped me. They set time limits on my phone. So parents have an equal responsibility for ensuring that their kids are safe online.
Now, Meta, for its part, has not commented, but company officials did point to proposed legislation to require app stores to get a parent's approval before a teen under the age of 16 downloads that particular app. Now, the company also says that other research shows positive benefits for teens from social media. Last year, a federal lawsuit filed in 41 states, including California, accused Meta of knowingly designing and deploying features to keep younger users online longer, violating the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act. and collecting data on children under the age of 13. Still ahead, we'll take a closer look at the potential risks of social media. A psychologist from the Child Mind Institute joins me next to talk about the impact on our kids. Plus, should social media and cell phones be banned at school? How Governor Newsom is pushing students to focus on their studies and not their screens. This half hour, we're talking about a push by the U.S. Surgeon General to put a warning label on social media and about the impact of social media on our kids and teens. A Stanford psychiatry expert tells us it goes beyond potential addiction.
My personal work has focused a lot on changes in personality, negative changes in personality that happen online, from an increase in impulsivity and aggression and narcissism. All these things are nurtured on social media, unfortunately. So the warning is a welcome milestone in the history of online psychology. The question is whether it's too little, too late.
Well, more and more school districts are actually banning the use of cell phones during school hours, calling them a distraction and a potential threat to students' mental health. And some entire states have also made the move. Most recently, New York State. NetChoice, which represents Meta and Google, among other major tech companies, says the New York law will violate the First Amendment and censors free speech online.
The Attorney General will be responsible for enforcement, and they can enforce at will. That's a decision that should be left up to parents, not government and not Silicon Valley.
Governor Gavin Newsom says he also wants to ban smartphones during school hours statewide after California's largest school district, LA, voted to make that move. Reporter Madison Keevy talked to parents about this push.
A topic that brings out strong opinions from Los Angeles.
Kids should not have phones. They should not have smartphones.
To Sacramento.
We think a lot about social media and how we need to parent through social media with our kids.
James Alexander is a dad of 3. They're too young for social media and cell phones, but that hasn't stopped those parental concerns.
Likely won't have social media until maybe their senior year of high school, until they're in college, where they can make that decision themselves, just because we've seen the negative effects.
Effects that have Governor Gavin Newsom calling to crack down with legislation. He vowed to severely restrict the use of smartphones during the school day. A move some parents already put into action.
No cell phones at school at the moment, but I also kind of understand like the other side of it, with all the kind of stuff that happens at school that is very unfortunate, is like you always kind of have that worry in the back of your head, so you like kind of want to have that capability of contacting them.
That perspective shared by a Los Angeles teacher at a district that already implemented restrictions.
There is that pushback from parents, but again, I think that education piece is key, and a collaborative process where parents and families are involved in figuring out how do we enforce this at our school.
It's so tricky. Joining me now is Dr. Omar Gudino, a senior psychologist and deputy clinical director at the Child Mind Institute. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so what do you think? Should schools be banning cell phones and therefore social media?
It's such a tricky question. I mean, there's so many pieces to it that we want to think about. We want to think about how much time kids are spending on it. We also want to think about what's the impact on the kids, right? We really want to think about tailoring it to the age of the child and really to their level of functioning. Is this child able to keep up with other things? Are they maintaining their friendships? So it's really about finding that balance of what works for that kid and that family.
So should there be a warning label on social media like the Surgeon General is recommending?
Well, the part that I think is really important is that it's a concern that we have, right? And we want to make sure we want to really think about the well-being of kids. And right now, what the Surgeon General is highlighting is that we're missing a lot of information. There's lots of things that we don't know. But what we do know is that kids are using a lot of social media, multiple hours a day, as you mentioned before, and that there's this association between the number of hours kids spend and their mental health symptoms. And that it's especially especially problematic for kids that already have mental health problems or those that are at heightened risk. So it's really a way for us to say we need to pay more attention to this and really raise awareness around the issue.
What do you think parents' responsibility should be? Because so much of this is social currency. At school, people are saying, the kids are going back to school and saying, oh, did you see what happened on Instagram? Did you see this video? And so there's an element there that you don't want your child to be totally left out, but you also want some boundaries. So what are the parents to do?
There's a couple of pieces here. One is really thinking about the benefits of social media, right? You just mentioned information sharing, connecting to others. There's many good things potentially about social media. But the problem is, how do we manage that within day-to-day life? And as you mentioned, one thing parents can really do is talk about banding together with other parents. What are the norms that we're setting within our own family, but also what are the norms within our friend groups? So really being able to talk about how we're negotiating the amount of time kids spend, and we're doing that with our colleagues and communities, so that there isn't this sense that the child is the only one not accessing social media.
Yeah, it's hard because kids are so tech savvy these days.
Absolutely.
So is it a matter of saying, okay, you're home, I'm going to take your phone until you go to school or not, or till you come home from school? I mean, how do you kind of balance that?
It's such a key part of daily life too, right? Many kids need those to be online for homework or for other purposes. So it's really about being able to monitor what kids are doing during that time, right? That there's a difference between maybe spending hours doing math homework or talking to grandparents online and spending hours doing something that maybe much increase their risk for mental health difficulties. So we're really thinking about what's the content and how are they engaging with social media.
Right. What about screen time? Because obviously kids are looking at social media on their phones, on their tablets, but they're also playing video games.
Absolutely.
They're also watching videos. We know that there is that dopamine hit that kids get when they're taking in this content. So what about those? Are you seeing the same destructive behavior from video games and videos that you are from social media? Are the two things different?
There's absolutely a lot of overlap. So when we think about our own research at the Child Mind Institute, more than half of kids are spending 4 to 6 hours a day online generally, not just social media apps. So when we're thinking again about how are kids using technology, how are kids engaging with the internet, that there's a real potential there for the kinds of content they're going to be exposed to. And the other piece is really thinking about brain development, right? Thinking about where your child is in terms of their brain development. So we're talking about kids at a time where they're really sensitive to things like peer influences, reinforcement, and at a time where it's really hard for them to put the brakes on things, to really stop their behavior and inhibit. So it's a really risky time, and when what you're suggesting is that there's lots of ways to engage with media, with the internet, to be online with technology, and it's really hard to have one blanket statement that says it's all problematic or it's not. So going back to your previous point, it's really about helping parents think about how are we helping kids navigate this until we have more information.
Right, and I know a lot of parents are probably watching this thinking, okay, well, I can't stop them from using their screens because they also need to use it for school. A lot of their assignments are on there, and so it's kind of this tricky dance of knowing when, okay, this is appropriate amount of time, but anything over this amount is not beneficial to my child. Do you think that we're close to getting a concrete number on that, on how much time is too much?
I think there's some good information out there, and I would invite people to visit childmind.org for more specific information, but really it's about matching the kids where they are. So it's really thinking about what is the need for the child, what needs do they have in terms of their technology use, and how much can parents really monitor what they're doing. So it's really about having those clear boundaries and expectations within the family. It's also about modeling how we use social media too, right? So really thinking about what examples we're setting for kids.
No question.
And then the really important piece is having those conversations, right? This is an ongoing conversation. It's not a one-time rule that somebody gets to make. It's really about monitoring, negotiating, and really understanding how media is impacting your child.
I think so many parents struggle because this wasn't something that a lot of them grew up with.
Absolutely.
So this is they have it now, and it's a real part of their lives now. But in terms of child development, this wasn't something you had to deal with.
And it's changing all the time. So even as we learn about it, it evolves. Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Dr. Omar Guadino, thank you. Well, still ahead, why some experts say we need to bring back boredom. Now, we've talked a lot about the U.S. Surgeon General calling for a warning label on social media apps and about school systems moving toward banning cell phones on campus. But of course, these plans take time. So how do parents keep them from getting sucked into more and more screen time now? Well, the founder of the Digital Wellness Lab at Boston Children's Hospital says we need to bring back boredom.
We fill it with what ifs and dreams and let's do this, as opposed to defaulting to a screen and basically giving over our attention and our mind to someone else.
The founder and CEO of the Family Online Safety Institute is also weighing in. He says he would like Congress to act on online privacy and safety and for tech companies to be more responsible. But for now, he says households should be making the rules. We'll be right back. Well, thank you so much for joining us for today's conversation on the potential risks of social media. We'd love to hear what you think. Should platforms post warning labels? Should schools ban cell phones altogether? Post your thoughts online using the hashtag KPIX. The CBS Evening News is up next. Local news continues on our streaming service, CBS News Bay Area. I'll see you at 5.